Hey everybody, it is me, Danielle J. Mitchell, your up and coming queen of real estate, and I'm here for today's and this week's Tuesday tip at 2. So let's dive right on into it. So I'm doing a follow up to the episode I did last week in regards to buying down interest rates. Okay, so I wanted to talk more about that. And everything. Before we get started, real quick, be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Right over there. Right over there. There we go. All that good stuff. Do all of it if this is helping you or you think it may help someone else. Listen. Don't hog up all the knowledge. You gotta share. Okay? So let's dive right on into it. So last week I talked about buying down the interest rate. And it was kind of brief because I really wanted to set up this week's episode to talk about the pros and cons, right? So just as kind of a review, okay, a buy down is a way for a borrower to obtain a lower interest rate by paying discount points at closing. Okay, discount points or mortgage points are a one-time paid fee up front. Okay, 1 point can equal 1% of the loan amount, and to specify that it's not the purchase price. Two different things. All right, the loan amount is less your mortgage down payment. Okay, so for example, if you're getting $100,000 house at 3% down for a purchase price, $100,000 with 3% down, then your loan amount will actually be $97,000, which that point will equal to $970. All right. So we're talking about points. We're talking about percentages and all this fun math stuff. So, again, one of the things that you can do with buying down your interest, you can say, hey, I'm going to pay $4,000 of a $400,000 loan to get my interest rate down maybe 0.25% or 0.50%. That has everything to do with what lender you're using. Okay, so that's whatever the lender's criteria is to buy down interest rate. It has everything to do with the points are the same, but how much points and money and stuff like that equates to the interest rate has to do with the lender. It could be 0.25%. It could be 0.5%. Okay. So what are the pros of doing this? As we talked about last week, I'm gonna start with the pros because as we talked about last week, one of the pros of doing this is, of course, your monthly payment is less money, right? So, for example, at a $200,000 loan at 4.25%, okay, your monthly payment, not including taxes and insurance, because this is just general, right? Could be the principal and interest would be $983.88, right? The total interest paid over the life of that loan, which hopefully you're getting a 30-year fix, would be $196.73. Now, if you got $200,000 loan at $4%, your monthly payments would be $954.83. So you're saving about $30 there. Total interest paid would be $143,738.99. A lot of numbers. I told you we was doing math today. So, of course, I'm sorry. Yes, right. So over the span of you're saving about $10,000 in interest, over $10,000 in interest, right? From saving that $30 a month, okay? Over the span and life of the loan, okay? So that's one of the benefits. So over the long term, it may not matter as much. Over the short term, of course, there's a benefit to saving an extra $30, $50 in your mortgage. Now, another benefit is that you can write it off on your taxes that you paid down your interest rate. It can be a write-off. So of course you would talk to an accountant who can talk to you more about that. Now, let's go into some of the cons. All right? Let's go into that. So, some of the cons in doing this. The main one is that you're paying upfront money that you could be using towards your down payment or towards getting furniture or towards your closing costs, whatever that is, right? You're paying, whether it's $2,000, whether it's $4,000, all that good stuff, whether it's $5,000, whether it's, I don't know, whatever it is, you're paying some cash up front just to save a couple of dollars, right? The savings, the difference between 0.5%, 0.25% is not that much. Now, of course, if you want to save more than 0.5 and more than 0.25%, you have to pay up more money, right? So even if we went with our example in regards to the $400,000 example for our purchase price, if you in that example that you're paying $4,000 to get 0.25% off of your interest rate, but to double that, right, you would have to pay about what, $8,000? Hopefully not, depending on what your deal is with your lender, but paying all that money to get maybe a minimal difference in your mortgage payment. If you are in it a pro, if you're trying to stay in your house for the long game, again, from the example that I gave, it can be beneficial because you're saving a few dollars in interest, you're saving a few dollars a month. But when we look at on average the people who stay in their home, it may not be beneficial. The point of buying down your interest is to save you some money, but if you're giving that money up front and you're not even breaking even, right, on the money you pay up front through the savings that you're getting every month, it may not be a point to that. For example, if you have paid the money up front, let's see, if you save around $30 a month by paying $2,000, that means it will take you 67 payments to break even, or around 5.5 years. Now, if you plan on staying 5.5 years or more in your house, then it's absolutely worth it, right? If you do not plan on staying, if you're planning on staying there less than that, then it may not be worth it, right? So we have to determine whether something like that would be worth it or not. Okay, so if most people may be staying there, if you're a first-time home buyer, you may stay in your home for 5 years, maybe 7 years, depending on how much you're putting up front. If you're staying in there 10 years, it might be a lot more beneficial. But if you're staying there less than 10 years, and you're putting up all that money, you're not even breaking even on what you put up, let alone actually saving money, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So that's pretty much all I have today. If you want more details in regards to buying down your interest, you know what you need to do. You need to book a consultation. There it goes. You need to go to book.djmrealtyco.com and let's talk about it. Let's talk about this strategy when you're going to purchase your home. It can be beneficial. Again, if you're in it for the long game, your house, you're not going anywhere for 10, 15 years, then it makes sense. And then you also have to factor in just life. You might be single and all that good stuff, no kids now, but who knows, in 5 years you might want to be getting married. You might be, having a life change, and it's not worth it, right? It's not worth it. And at that point, Now, you may be one who's getting their forever home, hopefully. And it might make sense. So it really just depends on kind of planning for the future well, and hopefully it pays off. I always say secure your house and just pay down your interest and all that other stuff in other ways. But we'll talk about that another time. So remember, there is no place like home. There is no place like home buying. And I will see you for another episode of Tuesday Tip at 2. Again, book that consultation, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.